Hi everyone, in this video we'll have a look at the CCE examination in Fedena. We need to begin with the general settings under the administration. Under the settings we have the general settings, and right there we're going to enable the grading pattern. So here I have already enabled CCE grading system and I'm going to update this. Once I've updated it, I can go to my examination module under academics. Under the settings, I'm going to begin with the basic settings that I have, which is grading levels, ranking levels, and class designation. Apart from these, I have the CC settings. Let me begin with set grading levels, and I can have a grading level which is common for all the batches, or I can select a particular batch and create a grading level. Let's say I'm having a common one and I go for add grade option, where I enter the name of the grade, let's say A grade, and a minimum score and a credit point. So I've given these descriptions and I'm going to save it. This way I'm given the grade level of different grade scores and minimum scores. So the grade points are mentioned here along with the description and the minimum score. This way I've created grading levels, and the next thing that I'm going to create is ranking levels. Under ranking levels, and once again I'm going to select a class, and for each class I'm going to create different ranking levels. Just like the one that I've created now, I'm going to create ranking levels by mentioning the name. Let's say name is high performer. The marks percentage is, let's say, 90 percentage. Mark limit type to be selected something from drop down. So this is a scenario that I have created where I'm calling the students have secured 90 percentage and above in 3 or 4 subjects out of the 5 subject is what I call high performer. So for these students, I'm giving a ranking level as high performer. So I'm giving the name high performer. I'm mentioning the score, which is 90. When I'm saying at least 90 percentage to be secured by the students to fall under this category. So in selecting the mark limit type to be upper, lower, or exact. Upper means at most, lower means at least, exactly means exactly 90 percentage. This is the mark limit type, and I am giving next criteria to be considered as subjects. So I am giving the number of subjects to be 3, or it can be 2, or it can be 4, and I mention the subject limit type, which is once again to be selected from the drop down, which can be at least 3 subjects, at most 3 subjects, exactly 3 subjects. Let's say I'm selecting at least 3 subjects and I'm going to save it. So I'm going to create a ranking level called top performer. I'm given a title as top performer, and I'm giving the percentage as 80 percentage, where I'm saying the students to secure at least 80 percentage. And one more criteria that I'm mentioning is at least 2 subjects. So out of 5 subjects, they need to secure 80 percentage and above in at least 2 subjects to fall under this criteria. So this is a ranking level that I am creating. Once the ranking level is completed, let's begin with the class designation. Under the class designation, we're going to create class designation for a particular class, let's say class 1. I have created these designations already. So when I go for the option, I can enter the name for the designation, a mark, and save them. This way I have created various designations, and once the designations are created, let me go back and let me begin with the CC settings. Under the CC settings, the first thing that I'm going to do is basic setting. And before I begin with the basic setting, let me tell you about the CC grading pattern. When you have a look at the CC grading pattern, under CC grading pattern, there are 2 types of examination, Scholastic and Co-Scholastic. Scholastic are normal examination, whereas Co-Scholastic are co-curricular subjects. Scholastic have grading system which is of 9-point grading system, and Co-Scholastic have 5-point grading system. Scholastic is categorized into FAs and essays. So if you see for term 1 and 2, which are nothing but exam categories, they're going to be 2 FAs and 1 essay. And for term 2, the same way we'll have 2 FAs and 1 essay. This is how the FAs and essays have been calculated for each exam category. Each of these FAs are going to have a weightage of 10 and essays are going to have a weightage of 30. So if you're going to sum up, you can see that term 1 is having 50 weightage and term 2 is having another 50 weightage. But when you see co-curricular subjects, that is core scholastic, it is 5-point grading system and the grading is going to be in 5 points. So this is how the CCE grading pattern looks like. Now going back to the settings, let's begin with the basic settings. Under basic settings, we have the CCE grade set, and for the CCE grade set, we are going to create the grade set by going for new. And when I go for the option new, I get to create a grade set with a title. So this is going to be something that we are going to use as a core scholastic grade set. I've given the name core scholastic grade set and save. Inside these core scholastic grade set, I'm going to create grades by going for add grades. And I'm going to create a grade with a name A and a grade point 5. Since it's 5-point grading system, I'm creating only 5 grading points. And once these are created, I can move back. And the next thing that I have is CCE Exam category. Under CCE Exam category, I'm going to create different exam categories that is there in my institution. I can go for the option new and I'm creating, let's say, term 1 and term 2. Once this is done, moving back, I'm going to create CCE weightages. So we'll have to create weightages to let Fedena know how these weightages have been split. So Fedena knows they're going to be, for each term, they're going to be 2 FAs. So all that we'll have to do is create CCE weightage for a weightage of 10 for an FA type and select an exam category. So that's, let's say, term 1 and update. For each term, there has to be 2 FAs, but knowing that Fedena already knows there are 2 FAs required, it will create by itself. We need not have to create FAs twice. We are going to create FAs only once for one term and essay once for one term with a weightage of 30. The same way I'm creating for term 1 and term 2. Once this is done, I'm going for assigning these weightages. As of now, we just created the weightages. We're going to assign it for a batch for which I'm creating CCE examination. I'm going to select the class 11. I've enabled the batch. So I have enabled the weightages. So you can see I have enabled the weightages for term 1 and term 2. 1 FA for each term and 1 essay with a weightage of 30 for each term and saved. So this is how weightages can be assigned. And the next thing we're going to see is co-scholastic settings. Under co-scholastic settings, we have co-scholastic items. Under co-scholastic items, I have already created by going for the option new and I've mentioned the observation group. So this is the observation group under which I have created observations by going for the option new. I've created various observations. On selecting each of these observations, I have created indicators by going for new indicators option. I have created these indicators. So these are part of these observation group and they get displayed as a indicator under the co-scholastic groups. I've created different types of co-scholastic items. I'm going to assign these co-scholastic items for which I'm selecting the class. For each class is going to choose a different co-scholastic item, which is nothing but the observation group. So here for the class, I have enabled 2 observation groups and I'm saving it. The next thing that we have is observation code setting. Under the observation code setting, you can select one of the class and you can assign codes for each of these observation groups. Now moving back to the Scholastic settings, we have the formative assessment settings. Each subject is going to have a formative assessment and these formative assessment can work with a formula. So you can choose which formula you want to go for. It can be total marks mode or common denominator mode. So you can see an example of how the formula has been calculated. The same, you can choose which would be suitable for the institution and save it. And once you've selected the formula, you can go for formative assessment items where you're going to create the different types of items. Now when you go for new FA group, you're going to give a name for the subject. Let's say Maths or let's say English. You're going to give the name and you're going to say which FA1 are you going to use. So for each term we have two FAs. That's FA1, FA2. And for term 2 we have FA3 and FA4. For each term for the subject English, we are going to have two FAs and we're going to create it. So let's see an example of how I've created. I have created FA for maths. So I'm selecting FA1 and I'm given a maximum of 100 marks, and I'm selecting that it falls under exam category term 1. So it's FA1, it falls under term 1. And the criteria that fall under these FA group will be calculated with the formula average of the descriptive indicators. Or I can go for sum of descriptive indicators as well and update. This way I've created various FA groups for my subjects. Going inside each of these FA groups, I get to see I can create various FA criteria. These criteria can be something like maths lab, let's say projects or practicals. I can create by going for the option new FA criteria. And when I create, I'm giving the name, a description, maximum mark and a formula key. So that this formula would be utilized for calculate. Let's say I have one more FA criteria. Between both of these FA criteria, there has to be a formula to give a final score for maths FA1. So this formula can be edited directly from here, where I can take the criteria, let's say the formula keys, and enter the formula and create it. This is how we can handle the FA items. Now once the FA items are created, let's go to assign FA item, select the class, select the subject and assign. I have assigned English 4 FA items for term 1 and term 2. When I select the subject maths, I'm going to assign another 4 and save. Since we're done with this Scholastic settings and Scholastic settings, let's go for CCE Report setting. CCE Report can be created as per CBSE norms. So if you're going for as per CBSE norms, you're going to give CBSE institution affiliation number here, or you can use a customized header as well. And below you find options like attendance, which you can make it auto generation or manually enter it after printing. Health status and self-awareness can be handled by student record, which is a separate module which will allow you to make list of record groups. The final one is final result criteria. You can go for manage criteria, and for each of these classes you're going to give a pass criteria and alternative text for this pass criteria and save the settings. So this is how CCE report settings could be done, and you can have a preview as well. The final setting is the upscale settings, where for course Scholastic grade point you're going to create an upscale, and the upscale is going to have a score for one subject upscaling and two subject upscaling. In case I'm going for one subject upscaling, I'm entering the score right here and I'm saying it can be upscaled to this particular score. The same happens for two subject. Once this is done, you can save it. Now this is all about the settings. Once the settings are completed, you can go back to the examination. You can go back to exam management. Under exam management, you're going to create an exam group. Let's say for class 11, I'm going to create an exam group. I'm going to call this as term 1 exams. I'm going to select one of the exam category, create an exam group. So let me select the batch and create an exam group. Now I can go for manage exams, and under which I can schedule an examination. I'm going to go for add exam group, provide a maximum mark and a minimum mark, schedule the examination with a start date and an end date, start time and end time as well, where you can also select no exam to disable the examination. Now I'm going to create an exam, and once the exam is created, you need to publish the exam schedule. So you can select this and publish the exam schedule. Now let me assume the examination is completed and the scores are evaluated, where you need to enter the scores in Fedena. So let's say we're going to come back to the same place, select the subject English, enter the scores here and save. Once you save the score, the grade gets calculated accordingly, and we can go for FA scores. under which for each subject we have an FA score, and that's what we're going to enter here. For each student I can select and enter the scores here. This way I can enter FA scores for each subject. Let's say English. Now I can go and do the same for maths. Now once this is done, you can save and you can go for going back to the same examination. Let's say manage examination. Now we can go for manage exam and we can go for course Scholastic result entries. Now under course Scholastic result entries, you're going to choose the criterias and enter the scores, which is again 5 points. So you can enter a grade point between 5. You can enter something between 1 to 5. Let's say once I enter the score, I'm going to save this. So this is how you can create an exam, publish the exam result, enter the score, and publish the exam result here. So let's say I'm going for manage exams. I'm going to publish the exam result by selecting this option. Earlier I had selected the option here to publish the schedule, and now I'm selecting for results. Moving back to the examination module, the next thing I'm going to see is the report center. Here you can find the CCE reports. Under CCE reports we have the generate report option, and let's begin with generating a report for this class. I'm selecting the class, I'm selecting an active batch which I have handled right now. I'm going to generate. This is a scheduled job, and once it's completed you can get back to your reports. Now let me show you some standard reports. Let's go for student wise report. Let's choose a batch. Let's say, now if you have a look at this report, for all these students we can select and switch between their scores. You can view for all term together, where you see the FA1, FA2, SA1, sum of all these, and for both the term you can see them, and the overall. You can see the overall grade point as well. You can go for term 1 and you can see for specifically term 1 and take a PDF or a CSV report. The same could be done for term 2 as well. The next thing that we have is subject-wise report. Under subject-wise report, you can take a specific report for the class and the batch, selecting a specific subject and viewing the score. Since I've not entered score for the one such FAs and essays, you get to view it like this. So once I've entered the score, you can see a better report like this. You can take a CSV report or a PDF report. Now the next kind of report that we have is a consolidated report. With a consolidated report allows you to view the score for each of these assessment group or together. I can either view a group report or individual ones. So this is how the group report would look like. You can take a report of these. The next thing that we have is CBSE report. So if you have a look at the CBSE Scholastic reports, this is how the Scholastic reports would look like. We're selecting exam group for exam 1 or exam 2. So let's say subject and view so this is how they look like. Moving back, we can have a look at the CBSE Course Scholastic report, and the Course Scholastic would be for class 5, a particular batch, and any of these observation groups, and view the score. So I need to choose a particular observation group and view the score, and now you can see the grade point accordingly. We have the ASL report. In case if you have ASL subjects, you can handle the ASL reports. And the final thing that we have is batch-wise student report, which is going to generate a report for the specific batch. Let's say I'm creating a new one, standard 5. I'm selecting it, I'm generating it. And once it gets generated, you can see the status running. And once it's done, it will show a status success, where you can generate and download the file to your browser. So let's have a look at the downloaded file. So this is a downloaded file, and once the downloaded file is completed, is downloaded, you can have a look. So standard 5A section, you see each of the student PDF report is displayed here. This is their score sheet, and you can have and look at it for all the students in the present class. So this is how they will look like. This is the 6-sheet CBSE pattern report. Now moving back to the next type that we have as an upscale report. You can have a look at the upscaling that has happened, and you can also have a look at the previous batch exam reports for these students. So this is all about the report center and the reports option in the CBSE examination pattern. Thanks for listening.